Hi, I'm Tony Parsnott, and I'm a project manager at Technology Services Group, a Chicago-based IT consulting firm. In a previous video, I compared the search functionality of 4 different user interfaces running against a Documentum repository. In this video, I'm going to focus on the contributor functionality that's built into the same 4 applications. In most systems, contributors make up the second largest subset of users after the consumers. In addition to search and retrieval of content, contributors use the content management system to author and upload new content as well as modify existing content. I'm going to be demonstrating the contributor functionality of 4 different user interfaces running on Documentum. These interfaces are Documentum Webtop, which is built on the Documentum Web Development Kit, or WDK. I will also show D2, which is the latest client application released by EMC. I'll also be showing the High Performance Interface, or HPI, which is an open source offering that's available from Technology Services Group. Finally, I'll be showing Documentum TaskBase, which is an EMC client that's configured using the Accelerated Composition Platform, or XCP. One thing to note about all of the applications that I'll be showing is that all of the functionality is achieved just by installing and configuring the out-of-the-box products. No coding or customizations were done to achieve any of the functionality that you're going to see. For each of the 4 applications, I'll be demonstrating the similarities and differences in the processes for creating a new document from a template, importing a single document, and importing multiple documents into the repository. I'll also show how to edit a document by first checking it out, making edits, and then checking it back in. And finally, I'll show how to view previous versions of a document. For this demonstration, I'll be using a repository that contains standard operating procedure documents. So I'll go ahead and get started by creating a new standard operating procedure from a template that I've already uploaded into the repository. So I'll go ahead and begin my demo with Webtop. Webtop uses the Unified Content Facilities plugin, or UCF. UCF is a Java applet that was developed by EMC to transfer content between the browser and the Documentum repository. I've already made sure that I have the right Java version installed on my machine, which is required by UCF. So now I can go ahead and create a new document from a template. So I'll go ahead and click on the File menu, click New Document. From here, I see a dialog box that allows me to enter a name for my document. I'll go ahead and give this a name that's similar to how I've named the other SOPs in the system. And then I have to select which type of document that I want to create. Because we're using Webtop out of the box, I'm presented with a list of all of the available document types in the repository. So I'll find standard operating procedure. And then because I have a template already in the repository for standard operating procedures, I see that the only format available in my list is Microsoft Word. And then my template shows up and I can click Next. Then in this tab, I'm able to enter all of the metadata for my standard operating procedure. So I have some custom fields here with drop-down lists. I'll go ahead and pick my site, Chicago, choose a product, GammaCon, and a category of accounting. I'll also use the calendar control to go ahead and set my desired effective date. From here, I can click on the Next button. The third tab of the document creation screen in Webtop by default shows the permissions that are available on the document. I don't need to make any changes, so I'll go ahead and hit the Finish button. From here, UCF will actually automatically launch the template that I've chosen in Microsoft Word. So I don't actually have to download the template. Just by clicking that Finish button, the template automatically downloads and launches. So I'll just go ahead and make a quick change to this template. Give it a title of my new SOP. And then I'll go ahead and save the document to my system by just clicking File, Save. I actually don't have to choose a location because UCF has already downloaded my document to a specific location on my hard drive. Now to finish my updates, I actually need to check my document back in. A lock is automatically put on the document when I create it. So I right click and choose Checkin. Then once again, I see my metadata. It all looks good, so I'll go ahead and hit OK. And UCF will automatically upload my Word document from the location that I saved it in back into the Documentum repository. Notice that I didn't have to browse for the file or specify its location. UCF knows to upload it from the same location that it downloaded it to when I created the new document from template. So now we'll go ahead and move on to creating a new document from a template in D2. D2 is actually an application that's built entirely inside of an ActiveX plugin that is launched from the browser. This plugin offers a lot of the same content transfer capabilities that UCF does in Webtop. ActiveX, however, does require that D2 be run in Microsoft Internet Explorer, which limits D2 to only being usable on machines that run the Windows operating system. I've already navigated to the folder location where I want to put my new standard operating procedure, so I'll go ahead and click on File, New Document. I then see a dialog box where I select the document type that I want to create. D2 is a little bit different from Webtop in that I can configure which document types are available for creation, so I don't have to select from an entire list in the repository, which is a nice feature. I'll select Standard Operating Procedure and click OK. And then I see another dialog box that allows me to enter the rest of my document metadata. Notice that the name field is missing here, which I'll discuss a little bit later. I'll go ahead and enter a title for the document. And then from the drop-down list, I'll select the site of Chicago, select GammaCon as a product, and choose a category of accounting. And then similar to Webtop, I see a calendar control for selecting my effective date. I'll go ahead and click OK. Now the ActiveX plugin that D2 uses is similar to UCF in that it will automatically download the template from the repository to my local hard drive and launch the template in Microsoft Word. So I don't have to select a location to save the file to. So now that my template's open, I'll just go ahead and make a quick change to it. Give it a title. Now I'll click File and Save in Microsoft Word, which will save the updated template to my local machine. And then from there, to get that document back in the repository, I'll right-click on the document and select Checkin. Similar to UCF, I don't have to specify a file location for the document that I want to upload. The ActiveX plugin takes care of that automatically. Go ahead and click OK to accept my check-in. And within a few seconds, you'll see that the lock icon disappears and my document is now checked into the repository. One nice feature of D2, if you notice here, the document that I just created automatically received a name of SOP 2012-0903. D2 allows you through configuration to set up an auto naming configuration at the doc type level. This is a customization in most systems, so it's nice that D2 offers this as a configuration out of the box. So now I'll go ahead and move on to our third application, which is HPI. HPI does not use any plugins for transferring content from the content server to the browser. So you'll notice that the process for creating content in HPI is a little bit different. One of the advantages of not using a plugin is that there are no restrictions on only being able to use HPI in Internet Explorer like there is with D2. There's also no need to have a Java runtime environment installed like there is with Webtop and TaskBase. Templates also work a little bit differently in HPI. Instead of starting the process of creating a new document from a template by selecting File, New Document, and then selecting your template, in HPI, the process starts by searching for the template that you want to use and download that template. To begin searching for my template, I'll go ahead and select Templates from the drop-down in the search criteria. Now I have the option to specify search criteria for my template. In this case, I know that my template type is a standard operating procedure, so I'll choose that and click Search. Since I only have the one template available in my repository, that's the only result I see on the right-hand panel in my search results. To download the template, I simply click on the name of the template. And then from here, I'm prompted to open or save my template. In this case, I'll just open the template so then it can launch in Microsoft Word and I can edit it directly in Word. So once I select open, the template is downloaded and Word launches. Now I'll go ahead and just make a quick update to the document. Once my update's been made, and this is a little bit different from D2 and Webtop, I'll go ahead and select File and Save As. When the Save As dialog appears, I have to select a location that I want to save my document to. I'll choose a location on my hard drive and enter a name. Now I'll go ahead and click the Save button. So now the document is saved to my local machine, and from here I can then upload it as a new document into the repository. The process for uploading a document in HPI begins by searching for the folder that you want to put it in. So here in my folder criteria, I'll search for the folder that's specific to Chicago and GammaCon. You can see that that search result brings back a single folder. When I click on the name of that folder, I'm launched into the HPI desktop screen. The desktop screen shows all of the contents of the folder, as well as gives a list of actions that you can perform from within the folder. Because I want to upload a new document, I'll go ahead and click the Add Document link. I'll specify a name for the document that I'm going to upload. And then I'll supply a title. Notice that the site and product attributes are missing here, and I'll explain that a little bit later. I'll go ahead and select accounting as my category and choose an effective date from the calendar control. And now is where I need to browse for the file that I saved after creating a new document from the template. The file that I saved down to my local machine, I'll browse for that and click Add. From here, the new document is uploaded into the folder, and you'll see that it actually appears in the left panel under the accounting category. One of the nice features that's available in HPI through configuration is that a document can actually inherit metadata attributes from the folder that it's created in at the time that the document is imported. So if you remember, this folder that I searched for has a site of Chicago and a product of GammaCon. And when I created the document in this folder, I did not have to specify a site or a product. So if I click on this document and select View Document Properties, I'll see all the attributes of the document, and you'll see that the site was automatically set to Chicago and the product was automatically set to GammaCon. I didn't have to specify those explicitly when I imported the document. Those attributes were inherited from the folder. Finally, I'm going to show how to create a document from a template in TaskBase. TaskBase uses the same UCF transfer applet that Webtop uses, and the process for creating the new document is almost identical to Webtop, so I'm going to try to move through this pretty quickly. I've already made sure that I have the right version of Java installed on my machine to enable UCF, and I've navigated to the folder where I want to create my new document. So the first step in TaskBase is to click the More Actions button at the bottom of the screen and select Create Document. From here I see the new document screen just as I did in Webtop, and I'll go ahead and enter a name for the SOP that I'm going to create. Then from the entire list of document types in the repository, I'll find Standard Operating Procedure. And then now I see that the templates that are available, I just have one in my repository for Microsoft Word. I'll select that and click Next. And now I see the Info tab just as in Webtop where I supply the rest of my metadata. I'll select my site as Chicago. My product is GammaCon. And I'll modify the title here as well. Set this to be TaskBase SOP. I'll choose my category as accounting and set an effective date with the calendar control. Again, just like Webtop. Now if I click the next button here, I'll see the permissions that are going to be created on the document. I don't want to make any changes here, so I'll go ahead and click the Finish button. Now just like in Webtop, UCF will download the template and automatically open it in Microsoft Word. From here I can edit my document. I'll just go ahead and set a title here. And then I can click the File, Save button in Microsoft Word, and that will save the template document to my local hard drive. And then to get that document back into the repository, I can right-click on the document in TaskBase and say Checkin. I see my metadata here. I can make updates if I want to. I'll just leave everything as it is and then click OK. And my document will be uploaded using UCF into the repository, and the lock is removed from the document. And now I'll move on to showing the process for importing a single and multiple standard operating procedures into the repository using each of the applications. Starting in Webtop, the import process begins by clicking on File, Import. From here I see a dialog box that allows me to add files from my local hard drive. I'll go ahead and select the file that I want. It displays in the window and I can click Next. Similar to creating a new document, I now have to select the document type from the full list here. I'll go ahead and update the name of my document and remove the extension. I'll select my site, product, and category and specify an effective date. Once I click Finish, the document is imported into the system and will display in the document list. Now for multiple documents, it's a very similar process. Click on File, Import again. From here I'll click Add Files, and I can actually select by control-clicking more than one document. So here I'll pick two. You'll see they display both in the window. I'll click Next. And now I have to enter the document type for my first document. I'll select Standard Operating Procedure. And from here, enter my metadata. Now one thing about Webtop, once I enter the metadata for my first document and click Next to move on to the second document, all of those values that I just entered will be copied over to the second document. So now I'm on my second document. I can make changes as necessary, remove my extension from the document name, and in this case maybe I'll change the effective date as well for the second document. I'll click Finish, and both documents using UCF are imported into the repository and display in the document list. Moving on to D2, the import process is fairly similar to Webtop and begins by clicking File and Import. From here I'm prompted to select a file from my local file system. I'll go ahead and pull an SOP from my file system, and I'll click OK. Now next I'm prompted to select a document type. Again here in D2 I'm able to select from a narrowed list of document types, which is nice. And now I continue and enter the rest of my metadata. Select a site of Chicago, product GammaCon, accounting category, and choose an effective date. Now once I hit OK, my document's going to be imported and I'll see it in the document list. There it is. Now I'm going to illustrate another feature of D2 in that I can actually drag and drop files into D2 from my hard drive. So I'll open Windows Explorer and select a couple of files and drag those over into D2. And that'll actually launch the import functionality of D2 automatically. And you'll see that my two files have already been chosen. Another option available in D2 is that I can choose whether or not I want the same metadata for all the files that I'm importing, or if I want to enter the metadata separately. I'll choose a separate option, select Standard Operating Procedure for my first document, and enter the metadata. Now, one of the disadvantages in D2, unfortunately, if I choose to enter my metadata separately, unlike Webtop, the values that I enter for the first document don't automatically get copied over to the second document. So I have to enter all of these values over and over, even if I only want to change one or two of the values. So you'll see now I'm prompted for the metadata for my second document. And here we are with the blank screen. So I have to actually re-enter site, product, category, even though I want those to be the same as the first document that I imported. So I'll finish up with my metadata. Go ahead and click OK. And you'll see that my two documents that I used the drag and drop feature with appear in the document view. And now I'll show how to import documents into HPI. The process for uploading a single document is the exact same process that I used to upload the document that I created using a template previously, so I'll go through this pretty quickly. I'm already in the folder that I want to be in, and I'll click Add New Document. Go ahead and enter my metadata for the document, starting with the document name. Now remember here, I don't see product and site information because the document will automatically inherit those properties from the folder that it's in HPI. I'll choose my category, select an effective date, and then I'll click the Browse button in the file upload input here and browse to the file that I want to import. And select the file and click Add. Now my file will be uploaded into HPI. You'll see when my left panel refreshes that I'm actually able to view the document in the left panel. So now I'll show the process for importing multiple files. In HPI, we call this bulk import. When I do a bulk import, this actually uses an Adobe Flash plugin. This is the only area of HPI where a plugin is used. And this could be configured to either enable or disable bulk import, depending on whether or not the plugin is desired. With the plugin, I can select multiple files from my hard drive just by control clicking. Once I select my files, I can go ahead and upload them, and then I see an option here where I can set the properties. Now HPI has a little bit of a different feature where I can configure certain properties to be common properties for bulk import. In this case, I've configured category and effective date to be common properties. So I enter those before I even start entering any properties for either of the documents that I'm importing. So now I see document 1, I'll begin by entering that metadata. But you'll see that the category and effective date have already been set to the values that I specified previously for the common properties. So I'll just enter a name and title for my first document and click Next, and I'll move on to my second document. Enter the name and title again. Again, the common properties have already been set, but I can actually make changes to these common properties if I decide I want to. I'll click Next, and that'll complete my bulk import, and I'll see that those files are now in HPI. Finishing up in Taskbase, the import process is actually identical to the process of importing single and multiple documents in Webtop. The only difference in Taskbase is that the import process is initiated by clicking on More Actions and selecting Import. Now, rather than going through that process again in Taskbase, since it is exactly the same as Webtop, I'll go ahead and show that Webtop and Taskbase actually do have drag and drop features that are available in both applications, and they behave the same in both applications. These features actually have to be enabled, and they require an ActiveX component. So the drag and drop features in Webtop and Taskbase are only available in Microsoft Internet Explorer running on Windows. So for drag and drop, I'll select a couple of files from my local file system and drag them into Webtop. This will automatically initiate the import process for my two documents. You'll see at the top of the screen I'm on file 1 of 2. I'll go ahead and modify the name of my document, and then the process for importing is exactly the same as the process has been in TaskBased and Webtop, where I select my document type from the full list. After I select my type, the metadata fields appear, and I can fill those in with the appropriate metadata. After I finish my first document, I hit the next button and I move on to my second document. You'll see that the metadata values from my first document are automatically copied to my second. I'll go ahead and make any changes that I need to make and click Finish, and my files will be imported. And now, as a final step, I'll show the process for checking out, editing, and checking in a document, and then show how to view all versions of a document. Starting in Webtop, I've already navigated to the folder that contains the document that I want to edit. I can go ahead and right-click on the document to display the available actions, and here I see both Edit and Checkout. The only difference between Edit and Checkout is that Edit will not only download the document and place a lock on it, but will also use UCF to launch the document in its native application. So you see here when I click Edit, it actually launches the document in Microsoft Word. I'll go ahead and make an update to the document and click Save to save the document to my local hard drive. Close the document, and then back in Webtop, you'll see that now there's a key icon next to the document that I've checked out, indicating that it's checked out by me. To check the document back into the repository, I again right-click on the document and choose Checkin. Here I see the Checkin dialog. The Checkin dialog has a number of options, including whether or not I want to save the document as the same version, a minor version, or a major version. By default, Webtop will display all three options. I can update the metadata if I desire, and there's also more options at the bottom of the screen. One of the options in the More Options category is that I could check in a whole new file from a different location. In this case, I just want to check in the file that I've already edited, so I won't select an option there. Once I click OK, my screen will refresh, and you'll see that my document has been checked in. To view all versions of the document, I can right-click on it and scroll down to View, and then pick Versions. Here on the View Version screen, you'll see that now there's an obsolete 1.0 version of my document, and the 1.1 document that I just checked in is marked as current. Now in D2, we'll actually see that the editing process is very similar to the process in Webtop. Starting in the folder that contains the document that I want to edit, I'll find the document and right-click. Here I have an option to edit, and I'll click the Edit button. And at this point, the document will be automatically downloaded to my machine using the ActiveX plugin and will be launched in the native editing application, in this case, Microsoft Word. Now that my document is open, I'll go ahead and make a small change to the title, and then save my changes back to my local hard drive. After saving changes, I can close Word. And then you'll see back in D2 that the document that I've checked out now has a key icon indicating that it's been checked out by me. To check in my changes, once again, I right-click on the document and select Check-in. D2 is a little bit different on the check-in screen, and there are less options available. Specifically, the versioning is different in that I don't see options to major version the document, and this is because of one of the configurations that's available in D2. In this case, I've disabled the ability for a user to major version, which is a nice feature that D2 offers that is normally a customization in Webtop. So I'll choose to go ahead and version this document up to the 0.2. This document, I might add, started as a 0.1. I'll go ahead and click OK. And similar to Webtop, the document that I edited is now uploaded into the system, and the key icon disappears, indicating that the document is now checked in. To view all versions of the document, I don't have to leave this screen. I can actually just click on the Versions tab at the bottom of the screen, which then expands and shows all the available versions. So you'll see now that the 0.1 is now superseded by a 0.2 that is made current. And now in HPI, the editing process is a little bit different because it does not use an ActiveX plugin or Java applet for content transfer. In this case, I'm already in the folder that contains the document that I want to edit. In the left panel, I'll click on the document, and the document actions link will appear. When I click that link, I will select Checkout. HPI is a little bit different that I'll see an Open Save dialog box. In this case, I'll just open the document. I see the document available for editing in Microsoft Word. I'll make a small change to the document and then save it. Because this document has not yet been saved to my local hard drive, I'll be prompted for a location to save the document down to. I'll go ahead and choose the location in my documents and click Save. Once the document's saved, I can close Microsoft Word. And now you see that there's a lock icon on the document indicating that it's checked out by my user. And to check the document back in, I click on Actions again and Check-in. The check-in screen in HPI has an optional comments field that by configuration I've made required. So I'll go ahead and enter some comments. Now here in HPI, I have to actually browse for the file that I want to check in because we're not using the UCF or ActiveX plugins here. I'll just select my file from my local hard drive to check in. And then you'll see the Save As, I have an option only to save as version 1.1, a minor version. This is a configuration in HPI that's kind of a nice feature similar to D2 in that I can enable or disable checking in as same version, major version, or minor version, depending on business rules. So in this case, I've only configured the ability to check in as minor version. So once I click the check-in button, I'll see that my check-in is successful. I can then again browse for the document and click on it. And to view versions, once again, I click on the document and select Actions and View Versions. And the Versions panel now appears in the right side of the pane view. Now you'll notice, because I'm working in such a small screen resolution for this demo, that the right side of the Versions panel is actually cut off on the screen. But HPI actually has the ability to hide the left panel to expand the pane view. So I'll go ahead and click this link to hide, and you'll see that my Versions panel displays in full. So you'll see now that I have the obsolete 1.0 version of my document, which is, I have now checked in a new 1.1 version that has been made current. Finishing up now in Taskbase, I've already navigated to the folder that contains the document that I want to edit. The process for editing a document in Taskbase is exactly like the process in Webtop, so I'll go through this quickly. I'll just select my document, and then I can click the Edit button at the bottom of the screen. The document will be downloaded to my local machine using the UCF plugin and automatically launched in Microsoft Word. I'll go ahead and make a change to the document, and then I can click File and Save to save my changes back to my local hard drive. To get my changes back into the repository, I can right-click on the document in Taskbase and click Check-in. And now I see the exact same check-in dialog that I saw in Webtop. Again, these two applications out of the box do not offer the ability to configure the versioning. So in this case, I have three options to check in as same, major, or minor version. I can update the metadata if I'd like, and then click OK. Now my document is checked back in the repository. And then to view all versions in Taskbase, I right-click on the document, and then scroll down to Show and Versions. Taskbase is a little different in that the versions show up in a pop-up, but here you'll see that the 1.0 version is now superseded by a 1.1 version that was made current. And with that, I'll wrap up my demonstration. Just to recap, in this demo, I've shown some of the contributor functionality of 4 different web applications running on Documentum, including Webtop, D2, HPI, and Taskbase. I hope this has been helpful in pointing out some of the similarities and differences between the interfaces. If you'd like more information, feel free to visit our website at www.tsgrp.com and read our blog at blog.tsgrp.com. Thanks.